Let me tell you something that's going to change the way you see yourself, your worth, and your relationships. The moment you stop chasing, you start attracting. Sounds simple, right? But let's be real. So many women fall into the trap of overgiving, over-explaining, and over-investing in someone who isn't meeting them halfway. And guess what? That energy, desperation, neediness, attachment. You ever notice how some women walk into a room and it's like the air shifts? Heads turn, people pay attention, and they're not even trying. They're not the loudest, they're not the most conventionally beautiful, but there's something about them that you just feel. It's confidence. And here's the crazy part. These women aren't magnetic because they need attention. They're magnetic because they don't. They don't walk in looking for validation. They don't shrink themselves to fit in. They don't overcompensate, over-apologize, or over-explain. They just are. And that's what makes them irresistible. Now, let's get real. If you're constantly overthinking, worrying about what he's thinking, checking your phone, waiting for a text, adjusting your personality just to make yourself more likable, you are giving away your power. You are literally broadcasting insecurity, and insecurity repels. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are, how much effort you put into your appearance, or how much you try to please. If your energy is screaming, "Am I enough?" the answer will always feel like no. Men don't chase women who chase them. They chase women who chase their own lives. Because confidence is about knowing that you are whole with or without anyone else. It's about walking into a room or into a relationship with the mindset that you belong there. Not because someone else says so, but because you say so. Let me give you a little story. I had a friend, let's call her Sarah. Sarah was stunning, smart, successful. But when it came to dating, she kept attracting the wrong men. Emotionally unavailable, half-hearted, breadcrumbing her with just enough attention to keep her hooked. And every time she found herself in this loop of trying harder, she'd analyze every text, overthink every interaction, adjust her behavior to fit what she thought they wanted. And guess what? It never worked. The more she tried to prove her worth, the less they valued her. Why? Because she was giving them all the power. She was showing them that their approval meant more to her than her own self-respect. One day, she finally snapped. She got so sick of feeling like she was chasing love that she decided to shift her focus. Instead of pouring all her energy into making someone else like her, she poured it into making herself proud. She stopped overanalyzing texts. She stopped saying yes to men who gave her the bare minimum. She started living for herself, picking up new hobbies, traveling, setting bigger career goals. She became the kind of woman who wasn't waiting for someone to choose her. She was too busy choosing herself. And do you know what happened? The dynamic flipped. Suddenly, the men who'd been distant started chasing her. The energy changed because confidence is magnetic. Listen, attraction isn't about being the perfect woman. It's about being the kind of woman who is so damn secure in who she is that she doesn't need external validation. The most attractive person in any room is the one who doesn't give off the energy of wanting to be chosen. They give off the energy of already knowing they're enough. So how do you build that kind of confidence? You stop outsourcing your worth. You stop looking at his attention as proof that you're desirable. You stop making someone else's effort or lack of effort dictate how you feel about yourself. You walk into every interaction knowing that you bring something valuable to the table. And if someone doesn't see it, that's on them. If they hesitate, if they play games, if they make you feel like you have to earn their love, you don't lower your worth to match their standards. You raise your standards and let them rise to you. Confidence isn't about arrogance. It's about a deep, unshakable belief that you are worthy of love, respect, and effort. And when you carry yourself with that belief, people feel it. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to prove anything. You just are. And that is the most powerful energy in the world. You ever notice how the second you stop obsessing over something, it suddenly starts working out? You stop worrying about getting that job and boom, an even better opportunity pops up. You stop stressing about making new friends and suddenly the right people walk into your life. You stop chasing after a man and all of a sudden he's blowing up your phone like he just realized you exist. That's not magic. That's energy. That's detachment. Here's what most people get wrong. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you stop feeling things or become cold and distant. It means you stop clinging to outcomes that are out of your control. It means you trust yourself enough to know that if something is meant for you, it will come. And if it's not, you're not wasting a second trying to force it. Let me be real with you. Desperation is a repellent. People feel it. If you're constantly checking your phone, waiting for a text, overanalyzing every little thing someone says, rearranging your schedule just to be available, you're radiating insecurity. And insecurity makes people pull back because neediness creates pressure, and pressure makes people run. Think about it. Have you ever had a salesperson follow you around a store pushing you to buy something? It's uncomfortable, right? It makes you want to leave. But when a store clerk just greets you, lets you browse, and is there if you need them, you feel at ease. You stay longer. You buy something because you want to, not because you were pressured. The same thing happens in relationships. The moment you shift your energy from grasping to allowing, everything changes. When you stop over-investing in people who aren't giving you the same energy back, you create space for the ones who actually want to be there. When you stop trying to control what someone else thinks or does, you show up as your best self, relaxed, confident, in your power. That's what makes people drawn to you. I had a friend who was stuck in the cycle of attachment. Every time she started seeing someone new, she became consumed with the relationship. She'd drop everything to be available for them, constantly text first, overthink every little thing. And every single time the same thing happened, the guy would pull away, and she couldn't figure out why. She was doing everything to make him happy, but it never worked. Then one day, after another heartbreak, she finally got it. She wasn't being a partner. She was being a job interviewee. She was trying so hard to prove she was worthy of love that she completely abandoned herself. So she made a decision. She was done overgiving. She was done making men the center of her world. She started putting herself first, doing things she loved, making plans that didn't revolve around whether someone was free. And what do you think happened? The moment she detached, the same guys who had been pulling away started coming back. And for the first time, she didn't care. Because she had something better, she had herself. Detachment is power. It's the ability to say, I want this, but I don't need it. I'm whole with or without it. And when you have that mindset, you become magnetic. Because now you're not chasing love. You're letting love come to you. You're not proving your worth. You're embodying it. You're not waiting for someone to choose you. You've already chosen yourself. So how do you practice real detachment? First, you stop making other people the source of your happiness. Your joy comes from you, from the life you build, from the things you love doing. Second, you shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. If something doesn't work out, it's not a loss, it's redirection. If someone pulls away, they just made space for someone better. And finally, you stay present. Instead of obsessing over where something is going, you focus on how it feels right now. You trust that what's meant for you will never require you to beg for it. The moment you detach, you reclaim your power. And when you do that, the right things, relationships, opportunities, everything start chasing you. You wake up every day with a choice. You can either spend your time obsessing over what someone else is doing, whether they're texting you back, whether they're thinking about you, whether you're good enough for them, or you can take all of that energy and invest it in yourself. One of these choices leaves you exhausted, anxious, and constantly questioning your worth. The other makes you unstoppable. Let's be real. Too many women put themselves dead last. They bend over backward to be available. They say yes when they want to say no. They rearrange their schedules, their priorities, even their goals, all because they don't want to lose someone. But here's the truth that nobody tells you. You lose yourself first. And the second you lose yourself, you lose everything. Your confidence, your peace, your power. You ever see a woman who just radiates confidence? She's not desperate for attention. She's not begging for love. She's not waiting for someone to make her feel chosen. She's already chosen herself. That's the kind of energy that makes people stop and take notice. That's the kind of energy that makes her irresistible. Not because she's playing games, but because she's living for herself. I had a friend who used to shape her entire life around whoever she was dating. If they liked hiking, suddenly she loved hiking. If they wanted space, she'd wait by the phone, jumping at every notification. She wasn't living her life. She was living theirs. And every single time, the same thing happened. The moment she made them the center of her world, they started pulling away. Why? Because she stopped being the woman they were attracted to in the first place. The woman who had her own life, the woman who wasn't available 24/7, who had passions, boundaries, things going on that didn't revolve around them. One day, she finally got tired of it. She decided that no man was ever going to be the reason she put her dreams on hold again. So she did something radical. She put herself first. She started taking herself out to dinner. She got serious about her goals. She planned trips without waiting for anyone to go with her. And do you know what happened? Not only did she become happier and more fulfilled, but the same men who once took her for granted started chasing her. Because when you stop making other people your priority, they start wondering why they're not yours. Let's talk about why prioritizing yourself is so important. First, it forces you to stop settling. When you know what you bring to the table, you stop accepting the bare minimum. You stop settling for better. You stop waiting on someone to give you the love you should be giving yourself. You set standards and you stick to them. That alone changes everything. Second, it makes you more attractive, not just in relationships, but in life. When you're living for yourself, when you're busy building, growing, creating, chasing your dreams, you have an energy that people can't ignore because you're not desperate. You're not clinging. You're thriving. And people want to be around that. Third, it gives you peace. No more overthinking. No more stressing about what someone else is doing. No more tying your happiness to whether or not someone texted you today because you're too busy enjoying your own life. The best part, when you prioritize yourself, you attract the right people. You attract people who respect you, who see your worth, who match your energy instead of draining it. You attract partners who aren't looking for someone to complete them, but someone to build with. Because that's what you're doing. You're building a life that excites you. It all starts with one decision. Stop waiting for someone to choose you. Choose yourself first. Because when you do, everything, and I mean everything, changes. Let me tell you something that will save you years of frustration. If someone is interested in you, you'll know. And if they're not, you'll be confused. That's it. That's the whole formula. If you're constantly wondering where you stand, overthinking every text, dissecting every little word, trying to decode mixed signals, guess what? That's your answer. Because when someone truly values you, there's no guessing. There's no hot and cold behavior. There's no half-hearted effort. There's only clarity. And yet, so many women ignore this. Instead of taking a step back and realizing that confusion is the answer, they double down. They start over-giving, thinking that if they just prove how amazing they are, the other person will finally see their worth. They send the first text. then the second, then the third. They justify bad behavior, make excuses, convince themselves that maybe they're just overreacting, but deep down, they feel it. That sinking, nagging feeling in their gut that tells them something isn't right. And do you know why they ignore it? Because facing the truth feels scarier than holding on to false hope. I had a friend who was stuck in this cycle for years. Every relationship she got into, she did all the work. She was the one initiating, planning, making sure things kept moving forward. She'd tell herself, oh, he's just busy, or maybe he's not good at texting, or I just need to show him how much I care. And every single time, the same thing happened. She would exhaust herself trying to keep the connection alive, and eventually the guy would pull away anyway. And do you know what hurt the most? Realizing that no matter how much she gave, it never made a difference. Because effort isn't something you should have to beg for. It's either there or it's not. So let's get something straight right now. If you have to convince someone to see your value, they're not your person. Love, respect, connection, those things should never have to be earned. They should be freely given. And the more you overgive, the more you train people to take you for granted. You teach them that they don't have to show up fully because you'll do all the work. You teach them that they can put in the bare minimum and still get maximum effort from you. And that's a dangerous cycle to fall into because it makes you think that you are the problem. That maybe if you just tried a little harder, maybe if you changed a little more, maybe then they would love you the way you deserve. But that's not how this works. The right person for you will match your energy. They will put in the same level of effort. They will make you feel secure, not anxious. You won't have to chase, beg, or prove anything because they will already see your value. And the only way to make space for that kind of connection is to stop settling for anything less. So how do you break the habit of overgiving? First, you have to get brutally honest with yourself. If you're always the one keeping things going, ask yourself why. What are you afraid will happen if you stop? Are you scared they'll leave? Are you scared of feeling rejected? Because here's the truth. If someone disappears the moment you stop overgiving, they were never really there to begin with. They were just benefiting from your effort, not reciprocating it. And that's not a real relationship. That's a one-sided transaction. Second, set a new standard for yourself. You do not chase, you attract. This means you match energy, not overcompensate for it. If someone reaches out, you respond. If they don't, you move on. If they make plans, you show up. If they flake, you let them go. No more making excuses for people who don't show up for you. No more lowering your standards to keep someone in your life. And finally, trust that the right people will come, because they will. But you won't find them if you're too busy entertaining the wrong ones. You won't recognize them if you're constantly settling for half-hearted effort. And you certainly won't attract them if you're stuck in a cycle of proving yourself to people who don't deserve you. So here's the rule. If someone values you, you'll know. And if they don't, you'll be confused. And confusion, that's your signal to stop giving more. Because the person who truly deserves your energy will never leave you questioning where you stand. You ever notice how the second you start focusing on yourself, people suddenly start paying attention? The moment you stop chasing, stop overthinking, stop making someone else the center of your world, boom, they start texting, they start calling, they start wondering where you've been, what you're up to, why you're not available 24/7. It's almost hilarious, but it's not a coincidence. It's the power of shifting your energy back to you. See, most people don't realize this, but attraction isn't about looks, money, or playing some complicated dating game. It's about energy, and the most irresistible energy on the planet. The kind that says, I am fully content with or without you. The kind that isn't desperate. The kind that isn't seeking approval. The kind that radiates confidence, self-respect, and certainty. that energy, that's what makes people chase you. But here's the problem. Too many women are out here making someone else their priority while being treated like an option. They check their phones every 5 minutes. They overanalyze texts. They adjust their schedules, their boundaries, their lives to accommodate someone who is only half showing up. And in doing so, they unknowingly give away all their power, because the second you make someone else the center of your world, you lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you lose that magnetic energy that draws people in. I had a friend who did everything for the guy she was dating. She was always available, always making plans, always putting in the effort. Meanwhile, he was inconsistent, sometimes affectionate, sometimes distant, keeping her on an emotional roller coaster. And you know what happened? She became addicted to the highs of his attention and miserable during the lows. She convinced herself that if she just tried harder, if she just loved him enough, maybe he would finally commit. Spoiler alert, he never did, because he never had to. He knew she'd always be there. Then one day, something changed. She got tired of waiting, tired of guessing, tired of being in a relationship where she was doing all the work. So she stopped. She stopped texting first. She stopped making herself available every time he felt like showing up. She stopped trying to force a connection that clearly wasn't mutual. And guess what? The moment she did that, he started chasing her. Suddenly, he was the one texting first. Suddenly, he wanted to make plans. Suddenly, he was putting in effort. Why? Because when she shifted her energy back to herself, it created space for him to step up, space for him to wonder if he was losing something valuable, and space for her to realize that she deserved more than breadcrumbs. The truth is, people don't value what they don't have to work for. That's just human nature. We are wired to appreciate what feels rare, what feels earned, what feels like it has standards. When you make yourself too available, when you overgive, when you put someone on a pedestal, they don't have to do anything to keep you. And when they don't have to do anything, they stop appreciating you. So how do you shift this? Simple. You stop chasing. You stop overgiving. You stop waiting for someone else to validate your worth. And instead, you turn that energy back to yourself. You focus on your own life, your own happiness, your own goals. You fill your time with things that excite you. You become so busy creating a life you love that whether or not someone texts you back is the last thing on your mind. And here's the magic part. When you do this, people feel it. They notice when you stop giving unlimited access to your time and energy. They start wondering why you're not so available anymore. They start realizing that if they want to be in your life, they actually have to show up. That's how you shift the dynamic. That's how you go from being someone's option to being their priority. The goal isn't to make someone chase you. The goal is to become the kind of woman who is so fulfilled, so confident, so in love with her own life that she never has to chase anyone. Because when you do that, the right people won't just notice you, they'll pursue you. Let me hit you with a truth bomb. The way you allow people to treat you is a direct reflection of how you treat yourself. Read that again. Because if you constantly find yourself dealing with people who disrespect you, take you for granted, or don't show up the way you deserve, it's not just about them. It's about what you tolerate. It's about the boundaries you set. It's about the way you show up for yourself. Too many women make the mistake of waiting for someone else to validate them. They think, if I'm good enough, they'll respect me. If I love them enough, they'll treat me right. If I keep proving myself, they'll finally commit. But that's not how this works. People don't treat you well because you love them. They treat you well because they see that you love yourself enough not to tolerate anything less. I once knew a woman who was stuck in a cycle of attracting emotionally unavailable men. Every relationship started the same way. Intense chemistry, big promises, and then slowly the guy would start pulling away. And instead of walking away the moment she saw the pattern, she would try harder. She would give more, be more understanding, lower her expectations, and hope that maybe this time would be different. But it never was, because every time she accepted less than she deserved, she sent a silent message: I will settle for this. One day she finally had enough. She looked at her life, her relationships, and realized